Shalom, peace be unto you, and welcome to Secrets Revealed, a Holy Bible. Today we're looking at Numbers chapter 9. There are 23 verses, beginning in verse 2. We see an omission. It says, Speak and let the children of Israel. So speak has been omitted. Verse 3, we see according to its law, versus according to all the ceremonies of it, according to all the rites of it, according to its ordinance, versus ceremonies. So we see the difference here is that it's talking about specific laws and guidelines, which can be interpreted as prescribed instructions. On the other hand, the Masoretic is saying these are rituals. Verse 4, ordered versus spake that they should. So one is uh, one is definitely a command, straightforward, whereas spake that they should sounds like an encouragement, like it's optional, or perhaps they should keep it, meaning an order. Verse 7, we see here, shall we therefore fail to offer a gift to Yah in its season in the midst of the children of Israel? So these are men who are unclean by reason of a dead body. They're talking to Moses and asking him that question. On the other hand, the Maz is saying, why, wherefore are we kept back? That we may offer an offering of Yah in his appointed season among the children of Israel. So the first one is asking a question to Moses in order to seek his judgment in this situation. Should we do this? Shall we proceed? On the other hand, the Maz is saying, why are we prevented? Well, they fully know well why, because they were defiled by the dead body. So that's not even a question. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Uh, as to why they are prevented. It's because of the dead body. So the next verse, verse 8, explains that, yes, they were indeed seeking advice, wisdom as to what they should do, what to do from Moses' mouth, according to the word of Yah, the mouth of Yah. They are kept back because, well, they don't know if they should proceed, if it's acceptable for them to proceed, if they have the approval to proceed at all. Let's look at both versions. The Septuagint first saying, and Moshe said to them, stand there. So just wait. I will hear what charge Yah will give concerning you. So he's getting the word from Yah and he'll report back to them and they will know, they'll have a better idea of what they should do. In the Masoretic, it's saying Moses said to them, stand still, so wait, and I will hear what Yah will command concerning you. So same thing. So we can see that the Septuagint is more accurate because in verse 7, they don't know why. Why are we kept back? No, they know why. They're asking, in reality, they are asking Moses, we are unclean. They even said it. We're defiled by the body of a dead man. In the Masoretic and the Septuagint, we are unclean by reason of the dead body of a man. Shall we therefore fail? Are we going to do this or not? So Moses, help us. Verse 12, or verse 11 rather, it says here, they shall offer it, talking about the Passover, versus they shall keep it. That's a significant difference. It's one thing to keep it, to guard it. It's another thing to do the offerings, to fulfill that command, the specific command regarding the Passover. Okay, so let's look at the next verse. We see here, verse 12, sacrifice it versus keep it. Uh, yeah, they shall sacrifice it according to the ordinance of the Passover. So it says there, uh, sacrifice it. They shall sacrifice it. On the other hand, it's saying keep it. In verse 12, verse 13, shall fail. whatsoever man shall fail to keep the Passover versus forbears. So one is just not able to do it for different various reasons. For example, it says here, if he's not clean, or if I'm sorry, it says whatsoever man, so he is clean and he's not far off on a journey and he fails to do it, that soul shall be cut off from his people because he has not offered the gift. So this person has no excuse. And the only exemptions are if he's far off on a journey, he's not able to because he's distance wise, he's not available physically, and physically as well, he's not ritually clean to be able to partake of it. Versus keep it says, actually, no, that's not what it says. It says forbear. But the man that is clean and is not in a journey and avoids keeping it. So forbears mean forbear. The word forbear can mean refrain. It can mean avoid doing, to keep the Passover. So this person's avoiding responsibility. They find an excuse not to keep it. Whereas here, he's just not doing it. He just fails to do it. Uh, the Masoretic is more specific, saying, okay, he's avoiding doing it. He's just rebelling. Clearly, he's rebelling. He's not doing it, and he's making this conscious decision to do it this way or to refrain from doing it. The Septuagint is saying if you don't do it, period, it's not giving you an excuse as to, oh, this is why. You just don't do it for whatever reason. No excuse, except for these two. If you're not clean and you're far away. Verse 14 says the law of the Passover, and should keep the Passover. It says here, he shall keep it according to the law of the Passover versus the ordinance of the Passover. So the difference here is law versus ordinance. And then we see again, according to its ordinance versus to its manner, according to the manner. And then it says, there shall be one law versus one ordinance. Once again, continuous difference. Actually, I should have really ignored that one. Let me just put that here. Should have ignored that. So next one is 16. It says continually versus always. So the cloud covered it by day, and talking about the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. Uh, it was consistently done for them, these two things. However, in the Masoretic, it's saying it was always. And we know that is not true because if this is true, we would be seeing it today because it isn't permanent. It's not always. And then we see an omission here, by day. The cloud covered it by day, and it's not there. It's only there because they inserted it. The translators inserted the words by day in brackets. And how would they know? Because the Septuagint, that's why. So I'll put here, they inserted it because only the Septuagint tells them. So it's only the Septuagint that tells them that. Otherwise, they wouldn't know to put that. They just, maybe they're just making a wild guess, but no, they know because the Septuagint existed before the Masoretic, hundreds and hundreds of years before, perhaps thousands, 1,000 years, not thousands. Verse 18, the word shall, the children of Israel shall encamp versus uh, journeyed. So they journeyed, they pitched. So the difference in verse 18, and you'll see this a continuous difference, is the Septuagint is talking about things in a future tense. The Masoretic is using a past tense. The Septuagint is also saying this is a command. They shall encamp. The Masoretic is simply recounting a narrative. It isn't saying it's a command, um, that they shall encamp. They just did it. Um, Although, to be fair, it does say at the commandment of Yah they pitched. However, in the narrative here in 18, it isn't so much narration. It is that they were commanded, they shall encamp. So this is a direct commandment to them, not simply a narration of an account of a story. It's also an order as well as narrative. Um, Actually, it is saying shall and shall. There's another shall encamp. So it says there again, reiterating it that it is a command. Okay, looking at verse 17, it is a narrative in both, to be fair here. When the cloud went up, and whatever place the cloud rested. So we can see it is a narrative in both, but we can see that the Masoretic redundantly restates this over and over. When the cloud was taken up, and in the place where the cloud abode, and the children of Israel pitched their tents, and repeats it again. The cloud abode, and they rested in their tents when the cloud tarried long. So, I mean, it's repeating this narrative. Is that really necessary? You'd have to ask yourself, that doesn't make any sense. Why would a narrator repeat the same thing over and over? Where in verse 19 of the Septuagint, we see, no, this is a commandment of Yah that he's saying, this is what you do when this happens. And whenever this is what happens when the cloud overshadows it. That's what they will do. And when the cloud draws over the tabernacle, they shall do this. And whenever the cloud overshadows the tabernacle, they shall encamp. So it's showing this is a book of the law. This is still part of the first 5 books of Moses. This is the 4th book. And this isn't just a narration. It's not a narrative only, like we see in the Masoretic. So that's why in verse 19, verse 20, verse 21, we see the same difference is not only is it uh, future versus past tense, it's more, the bigger difference is that, yeah, they are commands. It shall come to pass. Um, that's what you'll do. If this happens, if that shall come to pass, then you shall do this. The Masoretic is saying, no, this is a story. This is what happened. And then that happened. And then this happened. Then they, no. It doesn't make sense. So I think the biggest difference in this, it might be the title itself, is was it a command or was it just a story? Is it a story? Is it a narrative or is it a command? So that's the big difference here so far. And then looking at verse 22, we see 2 days or a year were added, or 2 days or a month or a year. Those were added to the narrative. They were not included in the Septuagint, the original. Verse 23, we see that another addition was there. They rested in their tents. They rested in the tents, I should say. They rested in the tent. So I have to correct that typo. And they kept the charge of Yah. Okay. It doesn't say that in the Septuagint, that they rest in their tents. Not saying that they didn't do it. It's just not in the narrative. Perhaps they did, but it would be a wrong assumption to just say, they did that. They shall depart. They kept the charge of Yah by the command of Yah by the hand of Moses. So we can see that, they did. They did indeed follow. Yet this is repeated and continues in the narrative of the Masoretic. So let's look at the Septuagint first. They shall depart by the command of Yah. They kept the charge of Yah by the command of Yah by the hand of Moshe. And that's it, the end of that chapter. But looking at the Masoretic, at the commandment of Yah, they rested in their tents. So again, they added it. And at the commandment of Yah, they journeyed. Okay. Why are they repeating that? They kept the charge of Yah, the commandment of Yah by the hand of Moses. So there's a little more repetition going on. And this continues in the narrative of the Masoretic text. So that's all I have for you today on this Shabbat. So thank you very much on this Sabbath. Thank you for your time. May our Father bless you and make your way prosperous. Next time we will look at Numbers chapter 10. So until next time, shalom, peace be unto you from our Father, and tune in for Numbers chapter 10. We'll see you next time, You've been watching Secrets Revealed, the Holy Bible. Shalom and peace unto you.